Hello everyone and welcome back to Angie B Cards and Crafts. This is another 10-minute tutorial on a Tuesday, known as Tuesday's 10-minute tutorials. Very nifty name, I'm sure you'll agree. Right, so today what I wanted to show you was something that I've been experimenting with a little bit recently. I use my gel plate an awful lot and I tend to use it with acrylics more than anything, which isn't uncommon. A lot of people do use it with acrylics. But what I've been doing recently is having a look at how I can use it with my alcohol inks, because I love my alcohol inks. So here are some of the samples that I did just in one session of playing with my alcohol inks and my alcohol ink alloys and seeing what I came up with. So some of them are on white paper, but most of these I think are on black paper. The first ones that I did, I wasn't sure how I was going to pull them off the paper and off the gel press, sorry, and what I found was that once there was a layer of acrylic over the top, you could get a good pull. Trying to pull the alcohol ink direct, obviously it dries too much, so it just meant that you couldn't actually pull it. But what I found interesting was these are just on copy paper, because this was just my initial experiments, and this one has been done by putting the alcohol ink on, putting a layer of just white acrylic paint over the top, thin layer, doing a pull, and it looks a bit wishy-washy and I'm not that keen. But then I did a second pull, and this was the second pull, which I thought was interesting. The vibrancy was much greater on the second pull, so obviously the layer of acrylic was just taking away some of that vibrancy. So I tried it again and the same thing happened. So this was the first layer, just putting the white acrylic paint over the top, and got this wishy-washy, and I just don't like this at all. But when I saw this as the second layer, I thought, actually, yeah, that's quite interesting. So it's worth experimenting, because it depends how heavy-handed you are and how well you're managing your different mediums. So people manage them in different ways. You may squirt more ink on, or you may squirt more acrylic paint on, but it's about trying and finding out what works for you. So what we're going to do today is have a look at what happens. I've just realised I haven't got my brayer, sorry, that's why I sound a bit distant. What happens when we play with the alcohol inks onto the gel press. So as I say, these are some of the examples. Most of them are just onto black card, because I liked the look of it, and I quite like this because it's got the black surround of it as well. So I'm just going to show you how I made some of these, and obviously it's using the tendrils that I absolutely adore. That is my favourite one. So that's the one that I'm going to do first, she says optimistically. Something similar to that. We'll keep that to one side so that we can see whether or not what I managed to do this time is anything like that. So here is my gel press. Those of you who've seen any of my gel press videos before will know I don't clean it. So this one looks like it's been smoking a bit heavily. I'm not quite sure why it's gone yellow, but I'm not worried about it. This is just the acetate that protects the gel plate. I do use that on both sides religiously when I put it away, and the bits, as you've just seen, will come off and stick to the acetate sometimes. So sometimes the acetate just does need a little bit of a wipe. So you can see lots of paint there just sticking to the rear acetate piece. So I tend to leave it on the acetate when I'm working. What you can do is choose to take it off the acetate and place it onto your mat, or if you have say an A4 block or something, you can place it onto that. I tend to just work on it here. And what I'm going to do to start with, I'm going to use good old faithful puffer. The first three colours of ink I'm going to use, I'm feeling quite sad about one of these, because this is my sunshine yellow and it's nearly all gone. And I'm feeling a little bit concerned because you can't get it very easily. It's not one of the common colours anymore. So anyway, I'm going to start off. I'm just going to put a few dots of the sunshine yellow on. I'll leave the lids off in case we need to add any more. And then I'm going to use sunset orange. There's a theme. And then we're going to use ember, which is a red. So Ember is from the latest Ranger alcohol ink range that Tim Holtz has just released. So all I'm going to do with these is blast them out a little bit. It's just wherever the ink's going, that's the way I'll blow it. I'm not worried about how it is. Okay, now if you want more of a specific colour, so I haven't got much left, but I'll use it anyway because it is my favourite colour. So I'm going to stick some more yellow in and just blast that, but you can blast it back in the other way as well, get a little bit of mix of colour. Apologies, you're going to hear a lot of the little puffer thing today. I'm going to put in a little bit more orange just over here to come out over this side, a little bit here. And I'm going to pop a little bit of yellow next to it there. So there's a vague idea of where I want things to go, but I'm really not worried about where they go, because what I'm aiming for is quite a random pattern. But then, if you look on here, there is a sheen to this as well, and that's because I've put an alloy on it. So on this one, I believe I put sterling, but I'm going to try something different this time. I'm going to try it with Mind. So Mind is one of the 5 different colours of alloys that Ranger have released. It's kind of a coppery tone, as you can see. I'm just going to pop a couple of drops in the middle, and then we're going to blow it out to the sides. So you can choose, if you want to rotate your piece as you go, so that you've got always going in the same direction with the puffer, whatever works for you. Personally, because it's easier, I tend to keep, with this particular method, the piece still, because I've got something in both hands when I'm doing it, so it makes sense to keep the piece still. Okay, well, I'm happy with that. So what I'm going to do now, that's going to take a minute or two to dry. So I'm just going to replace my lids, and the reason I'm replacing my lids isn't because they'll dry out. They're designed not to. They catch a little bit of ink in the spout, so they don't dry out, but it's because I'm really good at knocking them over. See, right on cue. I'm just going to give a couple of extra little puffs around this, and that's just to dry it off before I apply the white paint, which is going to do the lift. Okay, so I've got some black card here. So it's just an A4 piece of card. It's hammered card, so that means it's got texture on one side and it's smoother on the other side. Okay, I prefer this on the textured side. I'm onto a new bottle of, this is just Studio Acrylics, high viscosity, opaque, titanic white acrylic paint. And I'll just pop a couple of blobs. For some reason, and it's just me, I tend to put the paint away from the image to start with and then go over it. Don't know why, no rhyme or reason, it's just what I choose to do. Okay, so you just need a really thin layer of acrylic paint over the top. And I've just realised I've not got my paper ready as a rub-off sheet. I'll have to use just a piece of photocopier paper, and that's just to clean off the brayer. You'll see some of the colour is coming through onto the acrylic paint. That's fine. That's what you'd expect to happen. If you let it dry more thoroughly, then obviously you would get less colour coming off. So I'm just going to pop this over the top. What I tend to do is work on a larger piece of paper than the final piece so that I can cut it down. If you're very specific on your sizes, personally I find it a faff to then have to do some cutting down. So I'm just giving it a really good rub because we want to make sure that the acrylic paint, which is basically the carrier of the alcohol ink from the gel press onto the card. We need to get everything in really good contact. And then, oh, that one's even better than the other one. So I like that. I love those colours. Maybe would have put a bit more red in. And one of the things with the gel press is you don't know what you're going to get. And I quite like the excitement of that because you don't know what your reveal's going to be like. But I rather like that one. So I'm going to do another one using a different set of colours. Just very quickly, similar process. A little bit of gumball. Again, I'll leave the lids off until it's ready to take the print. Oh, I can see fizzing here, and what's happening here is there's still some of the alloy left. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. I'm not going to lift it because it'll move my ink. That's glacier, but what's happening is the ink is interacting with the alloy, so we're getting some lovely fizzing. Right, very quickly, we're going to do exactly the same, just blowing it out to the sides. So you can see you're getting purples, you're getting blues. I want a little bit more pink, so I'm going to pop some more pink on there. I quite like the fact that this is fizzing out to the sides. I'll pop a bit more on there. And then I think I'll pop a little bit more of the cobalt. I do like the brightness of this, and I like it to have some of it that isn't mixed. So when you mix it with the pink, obviously blue and pink, you get a purple, but I think the cobalt is a really nice colour to just get on its own. Right, so there's my colours down, and then this time I've chosen the sterling alloy, and that one is silver, as the name suggests. Something tells me I've put the wrong lid on this. What do you think? I think maybe I've put the pink lid on. Oh, that could be why the pink was fizzing actually. Oops. Never mind. And then what we're going to do is just blow it out a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit more of that. And I love the way that the other colours come through with the sterling. It just gives them a wonderful brightness. Now with the alloys, I don't say I always succeed, but I try not to put more than one dot of ink down at a time, because they've not got as much mobility, is that the right word? As much movement to them as the other alcohol inks, because obviously they contain little pieces of metal. I think I've probably just mixed those lids up again. Ah well, we'll not worry about that. So again, I'm just blasting this. If you do have a hairdryer with a really cool setting, I have been told you can try it on here, but personally, I'm not going to put anything that contains heat near my gel press because I like my gel press too much to do that. So again, off to the side, blob either side, oh, a little bit more. Okay, so exactly the same thing. We're just going over the top. So this is your carrier sheet, if you like, your sheet of acrylic. Brayer off the excess. Now what you can do with these is you can choose to just do a partial layer over the back of it. You don't have to do the whole thing every time. And you can still, if you want to, add texture in, but this is just about showing you the technique. So again, you're getting a really good, oh, I've not put the lids on the inks. Here's hoping I'm not klutzy. Okay. So there we have that one as well. So you can see it brings a shimmer to the colours, but you still see the colours through on both of them. I've used the alloys a fair few times now, and I would say that the silver is probably the shiniest of them. The Foundry's got quite a good sheen to it as well, but the silver is definitely shinier. So that was just to show you how to do that. I'm now going to have to figure out how to clean up that lid because I've put I put the wrong lid on. I hope you've enjoyed that and you find it useful. Please feel free to get in touch. If you've got any samples that you make yourself following on from this video, please feel free to post them on Facebook on Angie B Cards and Crafts. And keep watching. See you again. Bye.